How's it going, everybody? So today in this video I want to talk a little bit about momentum. So what I mean by momentum, I mean momentum, energetic momentum, okay? Pretty much the universal principle of momentum rather than just, straight physics like the car and this and that. Momentum doesn't just apply to force and objects against gravity and this and that. Momentum, the same way it's used to describe physical objects, can also be used and plugged into how we approach our daily lives and our thoughts and our actions and our behaviors. And essentially, the entire direction that we are moving in within life is all dictated upon our focus and the momentum that carries us through whatever we're focusing on. Momentum is extremely important, and once I learned to understand momentum in this area of regard, everything started to change for me. Every single time I focus more on momentum and less on my current state and where I am right now, great things start happening. So first of all, a really great concept to keep in mind when we're understanding momentum is the fact that there's no such thing as my true self, okay? Sure, you can be true to your thoughts, words, and actions. You can be true to your values. You could be true to your alignment within your thoughts, words, and actions. But there's no such thing as my real self or my true self. And understanding this helps you understand why people suffer and then how people can transform from the suffering into amazing creativity and creating positive things in their life, essentially. And it will also help you understand why sitting in your emotions is not a great thing. So I know a lot of people that have bad habits and they allow their habits to control their lives, or they have extreme strong emotions, for example being angry at Donald Trump or something, and every single time the opportunity arises they allow themselves to become angry at Donald Trump, or they allow themselves to get angry at a crazy driver on the road or something. And the problem is that is forging momentum in that state of mind or in that energy. So you're allowing that anger to get heavier and heavier down a slippery slope. And the slippery slope can lead to all sorts of negative things like violence and jail time and anger and criminal activity. And really, it doesn't have to get that way. Most people are consumed by anger, and they allow themselves to go down that slippery slope of anger, and it just destroys their life in general, no matter where it takes you. That is momentum. That is, I feel something, I'm focusing on it, and it's taking me somewhere. All these talks I do on the camera, I just turn on the camera and start flowing. It's all about my focus, changing my focus, and then allowing the momentum to take me where it needs to go. I'm not forcing anything, because the more I force myself, the more I trip over my words. But changing focus puts momentum in different directions. And so fixating on many things, anything you fixate on is going to bring momentum in that direction. Another thing is you could look at success. It doesn't have to be emotions. You could look at success. How does a YouTube channel gain subscribers? Usually when you look at the statistics on the channel manager, you'll see a snowball effect. Or if you look at, socialblade.com, in the beginning, it's a snowball effect. People start blowing up, and then they get more and more and more and more subscribers. It's all about momentum. Once you start making videos, more success comes your way. You're creating, and the more you create, the more you want to create, and the more videos you post, the more YouTube starts to feature your channel in different areas, and then the more people actually see those videos and subscribe to you and view your content. And so you just got to start and let momentum carry you, but you got to keep it up. It's like a car. You want to make it as easy as you can. You want to make the slope, you want to make a slippery slope so that when you give weight to your focus, it'll continue to go down until you can reach the intended desire, the intended goal. You have to, in order to gain money, you have to take initiative in some way, shape, or form. And let's say somebody is applying for a job and they can't get jobs. Well, the more effort you put into that, the more you're going to get out of it eventually. And the problem is people stop and they give up. They allow their doubts to consume them before they're ever able to really see the fruits of their seed. So, back to what I was saying before, the true self doesn't exist. What does exist is who you're becoming. What are you creating? Where is your self going? The true self doesn't exist because time is constantly moving forward. That's momentum. Time doesn't stand still. You're moving through time. You're moving through time. This present time is all that exists. And the future is not like in the future time. The future is like a destination that the current time is traveling to. The true self is gone already. Who I was 2 seconds ago is way in another area of space-time. I try to make this as easy to understand as possible, but those who have studied this a bit probably know what I'm talking about already. But the true self is something I'll have to make a whole nother video. I've made videos on this before debunking that so that people can see with more clarity. Anyway, if you allow yourself to get stuck in bad habits, if you just say, "Oh, this is just who I am. I'm just a negative person. I just hate Donald Trump or something." Well, then you're never going to be able to move past that because you're allowing. It's not that you are this angry person. It's that you're focusing on the anger, which is creating more anger, and you are whatever you focus on. Or even you could say you're attaching yourself to the self-image of anger, of everyone angering you, and you're going to constantly be that person. Like, oh, everyone just angers me. People suck so bad. Like, you're just training yourself to think this way. And as long as you allow yourself to think this way, you're always going to be finding that in your reality. And so, of course, you're going to be an angry person if you're constantly thinking everyone's angry, because that trains your RAS, your reticular activating system. It's a part of your brain. It's a scientifically valid part of your brain that filters out your reality. And when you tell yourself something, or when you think a thought, especially if you think a thought over and over again, you're gonna find that in your reality. So, for example, synchronicities. If you're focusing on something every single day, you'll start to see it in your reality. Like if you're thinking, "Oh, Mustang, I love Mustangs," you're reading about them online, you're much more likely to see much more Mustangs when you're on the road. And part of this is just your reticular activating system, but when you start to experiment, especially if you write down synchronicities, you'll start to see it seems almost like magic. And so this fuels more momentum towards it's all about momentum. This fuels more momentum. This is the momentum, and one of the results of momentum that's driving you forward into your intended direction is like, I want to live a good life. Good life. I love life. The more you think that, like, if someone comes into your reality who is like impeding on your good life, you can only fool yourself for so long. Eventually you'll remove that person who's impeding on you, and what do you know, your life has gotten so much better already, because you're removing the contrast, you're removing the people who are outside of what you want. And so that's just fueling the momentum. And then from there, you see more good things that make your life great. You start to enjoy your life a little bit more, because you feel so good. You have better people in your life, and because of these two things, you also see greater opportunities. Whenever like, let's say you're a salesman, more people want to buy your product because you're feeling so great. And the more people that buy your product, the more money you have. The more money you have, the more you can invest in other business, and it just grows and grows and grows. So another thing is, they say the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, why do you think that is? I mean, obviously there's many things. For one, if you've built an empire once, it doesn't matter how many times the empire crumbles, you can build that empire again. You know how to build it. If I've lost 200 pounds once through diet and exercise, you bet your ass I can lose it again. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, these people have they've put so much focus on gaining money that it's no problem for them. And poor people, now this isn't all poor people, okay? And I've had a lot of friends on different sides of the economic structure. And I've noticed, though, a lot of people that are always down on their luck are always focusing on how down on their luck they are. They're generally, I have definitely noticed, pessimistic people tend to be the ones who have a hard time finding work, finding jobs, and have a hard time keeping jobs, and have a hard time keeping homes. Now, I know a lot of this has to do with your behaviors and your actions, but I cannot help the fact that every person I know who, people consider losers, they tend to be pessimistic people at the same time. Or they're the type of people who allow negative emotions to conquer them. They're constantly just venting anger everywhere, or they're constantly venting doubt and extreme insecurities. Like, oh, why does this always happen to me? Oh, I knew it was too good to be true. Oh, yeah, I'm too lazy to get a job. I'm too lazy. Like, oh yeah, I would accept my girlfriend's help, but no, I just don't want to ask her, or I don't want to have my girlfriend pay for me, blah, blah, blah. Like, any opportunities they have to gain further is so much harder for them to grasp because of all the momentum that they allow to build in favor of negativity. So anyway, with all these things considered, essentially, momentum is all about where you want to go. Start going in that direction, and you'll continue to gain traction. You'll continue to gain weight, not in a negative sense. You'll continue to grow. That momentum will grow and grow and grow. If you're focused on what you want, you're going to get more of what you want. Now, that means positive focus. That means I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. Finding more things that you love about what you're doing. Creating more love. Seeing more love. Building more love. Your whole life is love. And it's not even a fake it till you make it type of thing. It's all about training your mind to do what you want to do. It's all about a mind training thing. Because again, the true self doesn't exist. People say, oh, well, isn't that kind of fake? Well, not necessarily. Let's say that you're trying to focus on reading a book, right? Or you're trying to focus on, let's say, studying for mathematics or something for college, right? And it's very hard for you to focus, right? You have all these people in your environment that are like talking, and you're like, oh, like, I want to do mathematics, you know? Is it fake of you to zone in on your mathematics? No, not really. Like, naturally you want to be distracted. You know, let's say you're in a quiet room and you're trying to focus on mathematics for an exam, and you just naturally move to Facebook and be distracted. Is it fake of you to force yourself to focus on your mathematics? No, it's not fake. It's something that will benefit you and make your life 10,000 times better. So the same thing applies to focusing your thoughts. It's literally the same thing. If you can't focus on mathematics for an exam that you need to do to move forward in life, then that just goes to show your autopilot thoughts control a lot more of your life than just your studying for school. And if you don't focus your mind and train your momentum in the direction you want to go, then your autopilot thoughts and behaviors are going to run your life. And the last thing you want is to be an emotional wreck who's venting emotions everywhere, because that will create more of those things in your life. And that is a fact. I know this whole authentic self type of thing and this desire to not be fake, I know that this is a very real thing, and I know that it is a very hard thing to ignore for many people, especially those who want to live a natural, spiritual, authentic life. But seriously, if your authenticness repels people away from you, and you have no friends and you feel lonely, or if it turns you onto bad habits and things, does it really matter how fake you're being? It's kind of silly when you think about it. Like, oh, I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. But you're always complaining about not having money. Wouldn't a realist want to gain more money and become financially stable? You're like, oh, I'm a realist. Life is horrible, blah, blah, blah. And then you're constantly sad, constantly angry, constantly paranoid, because all you focus on is these negative thoughts, how bad the world is. Is it realistic to dwell on negativity that you can't change? Doesn't it make more sense to try to rise above that? Have you ever thought about the better you feel inside yourself, the better you can make other people feel inside of themselves? How much positivity do you think you can add to the world if you're constantly dwelling in negative emotions and pessimisticness? Even if you're trying to help starving kids in Africa, you have to have hope and optimism that you can make a positive impact in their life, and that's exactly the thing. You have to be optimistic in order to change the world for the better. So this whole I'm a realist, the world is bad, I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being real, doesn't actually work. You're just, again, momentum is going to carry you in that direction. It takes an optimistic outlook to see that you can create change in the world, and momentum is going to take you there. Anyway, this has been a dynamic lecture. I'll talk to y'all in the next video. Leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you have anything to add on to this video, let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all next time.